I'm here to set you free.
There are no paths between lions and men.
You may just be my new best friend.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to your Westworld Mandatory Daily Update. I'm your host, Justin Thomas, and this is a segment where I give you guys the Westworld host treatment. But instead of pulling out my tablet and syncing you guys up with mandatory system updates, I keep you updated with quick videos containing the latest news for HBO's Westworld. We've got big news from executive producer Lisa Joy, who gave away big spoilers about the next season of HBO's sci-fi hit. Joy's been quoted saying that while the first season was told through multiple timelines, that won't be the case anymore. Joy went on to say, "I think with season 1, any basic different timelines were rooted in what the characters are going through. At that point, it made sense to do multiple timelines. I think we'll experiment in different point of views and different angles. You don't necessarily want to repeat the same thing." Alright, so what does this mean for Westworld Season 2? Those of you that have seen my last video already know that the timeline is not going to pick up right where Season 1 left off. And for those of you that need reminding, Season 1 left off looking like every human that was in the park, working at the park, and visiting the park were soon to meet their demise at the hands of some enlightened and very hostile hosts. And since we're not going to be starting off right where that left off, it has been said that we will be witnessing parts of the massacre through flashbacks of host and human alike. If there's one thing you know about Nolan, he's not known for his traditional storytelling, so I'd still be very confident saying, even though we're not going to be seeing multiple timelines, I'm sure this narrative is going to be anything but traditional. Now, some are speculating, since Joy was quoted saying, "I think we'll experiment in different points of views and different angles," that this can mean we're going to see Samurai or Shogun World, depending on which one they go with. Remember, they have registered both domains to test the waters and gauge our opinions about which one we like better. Remember, a Shogun and a Samurai are very similar. The Shoguns essentially ruled Japan from 1185 to 1868 while they were still an emperor, while the Samurais worked closely with the Shogun. Samurai were the nobles of Japan. They occupied a special position in society and were the only people allowed to carry a sword. So essentially, a Shogun was the general and the Samurai were the warriors. Still very high levels of nobility though. So having both Shogun and Samurai World definitely wouldn't make sense. They will go with one. In my opinion, I don't think that we will see Samurai or Shogun World in Season 2. And Ed Harris, who plays the Man in Black, seems to agree by stating in an interview, "I don't see myself getting into a samurai outfit anytime soon." Even though Ed Harris did make this statement a few months ago, and we have no reason to believe he had a script or any idea of what's going to be happening in Season 2 at the point, I tend to agree with him. Even though I think that either Samurai or Shogun World would be extremely entertaining to see, and we will see it, I don't believe it would be in Season 2. I believe that a lot of times when people are making theories, you should take into consideration some of the principles of storytelling. Chekhov's gun is a good example of this. So Chekhov's gun is a dramatic principle that states that every element in a story must be necessary and irrelevant elements should be removed. Elements shouldn't appear to make false promises by never coming into play. This statement was recorded in 1911 by playwright Anton Chekhov. So you might be asking, why is this important for Westworld? Well, I'd argue that it's very important for not only Westworld, but television shows like Game of Thrones as well. Now, Anton Chekhov was referring to the use of this method in a short story, but this is still a very popular method used in television and film today. It was a trope that was heavily utilized in the show Lost in the Harry Potter films. The phrase Chekhov's gun has become synonymous with foreshadowing, since when it's being used in long-form storytelling instead of short-form, usually you're going to get not only introduced to something, but unless it's a red herring, you'll be reminded of it. And when it's something as large as Samurai or Shogun World, which actually has marketing behind it and domains being registered, that would be a pretty large red herring and a smack in the face of the audience if you didn't get a payout. So what happens is usually you're introduced to something, as we were in the season finale of Westworld with the introduction of Samurai or Shogun World, and then we'll be reminded of it, and then we'll get the payoff. It would make more sense that in Season 2 we'll be reminded of it. And if you're not actually reminded of it in the dialogue, a lot of times shows will utilize the previously on segment of shows that air before the show comes on. And you can tell when something's usually going to happen or a character might be coming back by a scene from 2 seasons ago when previously on shows an event or a character that you haven't seen in quite a while. For instance, you see this a lot in shows like Game of Thrones. And as I mentioned, Lost, viewers and fans of these shows that are carefully written, like Westworld is, are accustomed to obsessing over the minuscule details and looking out for quote-unquote Chekhov's guns everywhere and anywhere, whether they actually exist or not. Some people call these epileptic trees or wild mass guessing. But the point is, if something is shown and there's a big deal made out of it, it's most likely going to pay off. When looking at Westworld, which is going to be 5 seasons at least, it's very unlikely that we will have the payoff so soon. We'll most likely be reminded. This can also be applied to when figuring out the plot twist of the Man in Black and William. Even though crafting theories can be fun, it's sometimes important, especially in shows like this, that utilize tropes like Chekhov's gun, to be aware of it. A great example of this is recently a lot of content creators, whether they have even heard the phrase Chekhov's gun or not, they're definitely looking for a lot of Chekhov's guns with the new Season 7 trailer for Game of Thrones. So without going into too much detail, they are drawing the comparison and making a lot of connections, or any connections they can make, with what's known as the Valonqar theory. Now, if this was in the books, this would check out, but this Chekhov's gun does not check out, since the Valonqar theory in the show does not include the strangulation from the younger brother or sister. When they had the Maggie the Frog flashback, it was only mentioned that her children would perish, nothing about the strangulation. So they're looking for a gun that was never hung on the wall in the first place. But this is what makes shows like this so much fun, is looking for things like Chekhov's gun. In my opinion, we won't see Samurai World until season 3 or 4. But again, that's just my opinion. This type of thing is not uncommon, and that's why I think it's important just to know a little bit even about some of these just basic tropes and storytelling methods, and it'll help any conclusions or theories you come up with have a lot more substance to back them up. But enough storytelling 101 for today. One last piece of Westworld news is Jimmy Simpson, even though he has been hinting he could be back in season 2, is confirmed that he will not be back. It is still possible that Jimmy Simpson, the young William, will be returning for season 3, but as of right now, he will not be in season 2. Well, that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any questions about Westworld, Game of Thrones, or any of the fandoms I cover, all you gotta do is put hashtag AskJTShow on Twitter or Facebook with your question, and I'll make sure to put it in the next segment. I'm Justin Thomas. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
I'm here to set you free.
There are no pacts between lions and men.
You may just be my new best friend.
Very old friend.
I wouldn't say friends.
Let us pledge that the winner